He thought it would be funny. Twist the new girl's arm. Make her cry. Get a few laughs from his friends. But 10 seconds later, the golden boy of Brookdale High was on the cafeteria floor. Gasping for breath, tears in his eyes, surrounded by a silence so heavy it could break glass. No one saw it coming, not even Layla Carter, the new black girl, who had spent her life learning how not to fight back until that day. The bell shrieked through the crowded hallways of Brookdale High, echoing like a warning. Backpacks slammed shut, sneakers squeaked, and laughter bounced off the walls as students poured into the cafeteria. It was loud, chaotic, and for Layla Carter, utterly terrifying. She clutched her lunch tray with both hands, trying not to make eye contact with anyone. It was her third day at a new school, in a new city, with faces that didn't look like hers. The cafeteria tables were divided by invisible borders. Athletes in one corner, cheerleaders near the windows, gamers by the vending machines. And then there was Layla, standing in the middle like a glitch in the system. She spotted an empty table near the back and started walking, careful not to draw attention. But attention found her anyway. "Yo, who's that?" someone whispered. "New girl," another voice answered. "Transferred from Detroit." A few heads turned. Some eyes rolled. One smirk caught her off guard, the kind that said, "You don't belong here." Layla sat down, unfolded her napkin, and kept her head low. Her heart was racing, and she could feel her hands trembling. She'd promised herself she wouldn't cry. Not again. Not like last time. Then came the sound of sneakers dragging on tile. Slow, purposeful, mocking. A shadow fell across her tray. "Well, look who decided to sit in my spot," said a tall boy with blonde hair and a Letterman jacket. His name was Chase Miller, varsity captain, straight-A liar and self-declared king of Brookdale High. Layla blinked, unsure what to say. "I didn't know." "Yeah, I bet you didn't." Chase leaned closer, his voice dripping with arrogance. "You're new, right? Here's how it works. You don't just sit wherever you want, especially not here." He tapped her tray with his finger, eyes glinting. "So what's for lunch? Mystery meat and courage?" A few laughs rippled around them. Layla felt her throat tighten. The room was shrinking, the noise fading into a dull roar. "I'll move," she whispered, standing up. But before she could, Chase grabbed her wrist. No, don't be rude. We're just getting started." Her breath caught. His grip tightened. It hurt, really hurt. Something flickered in her chest. Not fear this time, something else. The entire cafeteria seemed to hold its breath. Then a voice, steady, cold, unfamiliar even to Layla herself, escaped her lips. "Let me go." For a moment, Chase hesitated. There was something in her eyes, a storm he didn't understand. But his pride wouldn't let him back down. He squeezed harder. And that's when everything changed. Chase's grip tightened, his smirk widening as if he enjoyed watching fear turn into pain. His friends at the nearby table snickered, one of them pulling out a phone. Layla's pulse thundered in her ears. She tried to twist free, but his hand locked around her wrist like a clamp. The cafeteria noise blurred into static. All she could hear was the scrape of the chair legs and the dull thud of her tray hitting the floor. "Hey, relax," Chase said, voice dripping with mock innocence. "I'm just kidding around. Don't get all emotional." But he didn't let go. Layla's breath came in short, sharp bursts. "Don't cry. Don't give him that." Her mother's voice echoed in her memory. "People will test you. You don't have to let them define you." Her arm burned where he held her. The skin beneath his fingers was already turning red. Something deep inside her snapped. Not bone, not tendon, but something stronger. The part of her that had swallowed humiliation one too many times. "Let me go," she said again, her voice lower, colder. Chase laughed. Or what? That was his mistake. In one quick motion, Layla twisted her wrist inward, dropping her weight. Using his strength against him, there was a pop, a sharp, ugly sound, and Chase stumbled forward, yelping as his own momentum threw him off balance. His tray of fries and ketchup splattered across his Letterman jacket. He hit the ground hard, clutching his arm, his face twisting in shock. The laughter around them died instantly. The silence was thick, broken only by Chase's ragged breathing. What did you do?" he gasped. Layla stepped back, eyes wide, her own heartbeat roaring in her head. She hadn't meant to hurt him. She just wanted to be free. But now everyone was staring, hundreds of eyes burning into her skin. Whispering, recording, a teacher shouted from across the room. "What's going on here?" Layla froze. Chase was still on the floor, moaning, one hand pressed against his wrist. He looked less like the school's untouchable athlete and more like a boy who'd just seen his power disappear. Layla wanted to explain, to say it wasn't what it looked like. but her throat refused to form words. The teacher rushed over, helped Chase to his feet, and glared at her. "Principal's office. Both of you, now." Chase glared through his tears. "She attacked me." Layla's stomach dropped. "That's not true. Enough," the teacher snapped. And as they walked toward the door, whispers followed her like shadows. Some said she fought back. Some said she broke his arm. And one voice near the back muttered, "Guess the new girl's not so weak after all." Layla didn't look back. She couldn't. The walk to the principal's office felt longer than the entire school year. The hallway stretched endlessly, fluorescent lights flickering above them, echoing footsteps cutting through the silence. Chase cradled his wrist, sniffling dramatically every few seconds. Layla walked behind him, her palms clammy, her throat tight with guilt and fury. Students peeked through open classroom doors as they passed. Some whispered, some pointed. A few just stared, faces filled with that same unspoken judgment that had followed her since the first day she arrived. When they finally reached the office, the secretary looked up in alarm. "Mr. Miller? What on earth?" "She attacked me," Chase cut in, holding up his reddened wrist like evidence. "For no reason." Layla blinked, stunned by the ease of his lie. The secretary's gaze flicked toward her, slow, assessing, doubtful. She picked up the phone. "Principal Reynolds, you'd better come out here." Moments later, Principal Reynolds appeared, a tall, gray-haired man with a calm expression that felt colder than ice. "Inside," he said quietly. They sat opposite each other, the silence heavy. Chase kept dabbing at his eyes, playing the victim like a role he'd rehearsed 1,000 times. Principal Reynolds folded his hands. "Layla, would you like to tell me what happened?" She swallowed hard. "He grabbed my wrist. I asked him to let go. He didn't." Chase scoffed. "That's not true." She flipped out of nowhere. "Everyone saw it." Layla shook her head. "That's not what happened." The principal's gaze shifted between them, unreadable. "Do we have witnesses?" Chase smirked. "Half the cafeteria. Check the cameras if you want. I didn't do anything." Layla's stomach twisted. Cameras. Yes, there were cameras. Maybe that would save her. But would they even check? Reynolds sighed. "Until we review the footage, both of you are suspended for the day. Chase, get your wrist checked at the nurse's office. Layla." His tone softened slightly, but only just. "Your guardian will be called." Layla's heart dropped. Mom's going to lose it. As they stood to leave, Chase leaned closer, whispering so only she could hear. "You just made the biggest mistake of your life." She didn't answer. She couldn't trust her voice. Outside the office, she sat on a bench, staring at the linoleum floor, trying to slow her breathing. Her fingers still ached from where he'd grabbed her. She could still feel the weight of everyone's eyes on her. The whispers, the rumors forming like wildfire. Then her phone buzzed. A text from her mom. "Principal called, on my way." "What happened, baby?" Layla typed, erased, and retyped before sending the only thing she could manage. "I defended myself." But even as she hit send, a tear slid down her cheek. Because deep down, she knew the world. Didn't always care about the truth. Only about who told the better story. The car ride home was silent. The kind of silence that made every streetlight flicker louder. Every turn of the wheel feel heavier. Layla stared out the window, watching raindrops race each other down the glass. Her mom, Denise Carter, kept her hands locked on the steering wheel, knuckles white. When they pulled into the driveway, Denise didn't speak right away. She just sat there, breathing slowly, trying to calm whatever storm was building inside her. Layla's chest felt tight. "Mom, Not yet," Denise interrupted, her voice calm but trembling beneath the surface. "Let's go inside." The moment the door closed behind them, the calm shattered. "Layla, what happened?" Denise asked, pacing the living room. "The principal said you hurt a boy. Do you have any idea what that sounds like?" Layla swallowed hard. "He grabbed me first. I told him to stop. He wouldn't. I just wanted him to let go." Denise stopped pacing. Her eyes softened for a moment, then filled with something else. Fear. "Did anyone see that?" "I think so, maybe, I don't know." Her mother sighed, sitting down heavily. "Baby, I believe you. I always will. But you have to understand. People don't always see what really happened. They see what they want to see." Layla nodded slowly, tears welling. "I didn't mean to hurt him, Mom. I just snapped." Denise reached over and took her daughter's hand. "I know, and I get it. You've had to be strong for so long. New school, new faces, new whispers. It's exhausting." Layla looked down. They all stared at me like I was some kind of monster. Her mother's eyes glistened. "That's because strength scares people, especially when it comes from someone they expect to stay quiet." For a while, neither of them spoke. The clock ticked. The rain tapped softly against the window. Then Denise added, almost in a whisper, "You did the right thing standing up for yourself. But now we have to deal with what comes next. We'll talk to the principal tomorrow, okay? Together." Layla nodded, but her heart still ached. Her phone buzzed again. Notifications from social media. Brookdale Truth. New girl attacks Chase Miller. Guess she's not so innocent. Drama. Brookdale High. Her stomach twisted. The video had already made it online. Someone had recorded the whole thing, from the worst possible angle. "Mom," she whispered, showing her the screen. Denise's face went pale. "Oh no." The clip showed Chase grabbing her wrist, but the camera angle only caught Layla's reaction. The twist. The shove, his fall. The comments were already flooding in. Crazy. She snapped for no reason. Someone needs to expel her. Layla turned off her phone, her hands shaking. "They're calling me a psycho, Mom." Denise pulled her into a hug, voice firm even through tears. "Let them talk. You know your truth. You know who you are." But deep down, Layla wasn't sure she did anymore. The next morning, walking into Brookdale High felt like walking into a battlefield. The whispers started before Layla even reached her locker. Heads turned, phones tilted slightly, recording. Some kids laughed behind their hands. Others just stared, waiting for her to explode again. She kept her gaze fixed on the floor, pretending not to notice the murmurs that rippled down the hallway. "Did you see the video? She just threw him like it was nothing." "Bro, Chase didn't even fight back." "Yeah, 'cause she went full psycho." Layla's stomach twisted with every word. Her locker door shook in her hands as she tried to stay calm. Then came the sound of sneakers, the same kind of confident, careless steps that had haunted her yesterday. Chase Miller, arm in a sling, walking down the hall like a war hero. His friends flanked him on both sides, feeding his ego. "There she is," he said loudly, his voice dripping with mock pity. "Everyone careful, she's violent." A wave of laughter followed. Layla clenched her fists but didn't look up. The principal had reviewed the footage but hadn't reached a decision yet. Until then, both of them were under observation. It felt like house arrest in the middle of school. At lunch, she sat alone in the far corner. Every seat around her stayed empty. Even the teachers avoided meeting her eyes. Her phone buzzed. A new message. "Unknown number. I saw what really happened." Layla's heart skipped. She stared at the screen. "Who is this?" She typed back. No reply. Just the typing dots. Then nothing. She waited, staring at the cafeteria entrance. Every face felt like a suspect. Across the room, Chase was holding court, laughing, gesturing wildly, retelling the story as if it were some heroic tale. Every exaggeration made the crowd laugh harder. Layla felt tears sting her eyes, but she blinked them away. Then her phone buzzed again. "Meet me behind the gym after last bell. I can prove you didn't start it." Her pulse quickened. Was it a trap or hope? When the final bell rang, she hesitated at her locker. Something told her not to go, but something stronger, the desperate need to be heard, pushed her forward. Behind the gym, the air was colder, quieter. The noise of the school faded into a distant hum. A shadow stepped out from behind the bleachers. It was a boy she barely recognized, tall, skinny, messy brown hair and nervous eyes. "Eli?" she whispered. She'd seen him once or twice in class but never spoken to him. He nodded, glancing around. "I was in the cafeteria. I saw everything. I recorded it from the other side." Her breath caught. "You did?" He pulled out his phone. "The video everyone's seen? It's cropped. Someone edited it before posting. I've got the full one." Layla's heart pounded. For the first time in days, she felt something flicker inside her. Hope. Eli's fingers trembled as he unlocked his phone. The screen lit up, reflecting in his worried eyes. "I didn't know what to do," he said quietly. Everyone was already talking about it. But when I saw the edited version online, I knew it wasn't fair. Layla's pulse raced. "Show me." He hit play. The video opened with a wide shot of the cafeteria, unlike the viral clip. This one showed the entire scene. Chase swaggering over, towering above Layla's table, his friends snickering, the taunts, and then, clear as daylight, his hand grabbing her wrist. Layla winced at the sound of her own voice trembling. "Let me go." Then the moment of struggle, the twist, Chase hitting the floor. But this time, it was impossible to mistake who started it. When the clip ended, Eli looked up. "You didn't attack him. You defended yourself." Layla exhaled shakily, her throat tight. "Can you send it to me?" He nodded, typing fast, then hesitated. "But if you post it, Chase and his friends will come after me. They'll find out I filmed it." Layla met his eyes. "I won't do anything without asking you first. But thank you, Eli, really." He nodded, half smiling. "You didn't deserve what they're saying." As she walked home that day, the weight on her chest felt a little lighter, but the fear remained. She knew the truth didn't always win. Not in places like Brookdale. That night, she showed the video to her mom. Denise watched in silence, her jaw tightening with every second. When it ended, she whispered, "We're taking this to the principal tomorrow. Enough is enough." Layla nodded, but a small voice inside her whispered doubt. Will they even care? The next morning, they marched into the principal's office. Layla held out the phone with trembling hands. "This is the full video. It proves he started it." Principal Reynolds watched closely, his expression unreadable. When it ended, he sighed. "This changes things." Layla felt her heart lift. But before she could speak, he continued. "Still, Chase's father is on the school board. We'll need to handle this carefully." The air left her lungs. Denise leaned forward. "Handle it carefully? My daughter's being called a violent thug online because of your students. And now you're telling me you have to handle it carefully?" The principal raised his hands. "Please, Mrs. Carter, I just mean, these matters are sensitive. We'll review it with the board before making any public decisions." Layla's eyes stung. "So nothing's going to happen, is it?" He looked away. "For now, I suggest you both stay patient." Outside the office, Layla's mom seethed. "Patient? He's protecting that boy because of his father." Layla swallowed back tears. "Maybe they don't want the truth." Denise's voice softened. "Then we'll make them see it ourselves." Layla didn't plan to go public. Not at first. She wanted to trust the school, to believe that doing the right thing would eventually pay off. But 3 days passed and nothing changed. Chase was back to laughing in the cafeteria. His arm still in a sling, but his pride fully healed. The whispers about Layla hadn't stopped. If anything, they'd gotten worse. Then came a post on Brookdale Buzz, the school's unofficial gossip page. "Guess who's crying to the principal now? Maybe next time she won't attack someone twice her size." Hundreds of likes. Dozens of laughing emojis. That night, Layla sat on her bed, phone glowing in the dark. The real video was right there. Proof, truth, justice, everything she'd been praying for. Eli's message echoed in her mind. "They'll come after me if they find out." Her thumb hovered over the upload button. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she thought about Chase's smirk. The way people had looked at her like she was something dangerous. She pressed post. The video went live at 8:47 p.m. Within minutes, comments poured in. Wait, she didn't start it? Chase totally grabbed her first. So the edited one was fake? Damn, she handled herself better than I would have. By morning, the school was buzzing. The video had spread beyond Brookdale. Shared, reposted, analyzed. Hashtags flipped overnight. That's just as For Layla started trending locally. When she arrived at school, the stares were different. Confused, awkward. Some kids who'd mocked her now looked guilty, but not everyone was ready to accept it. In the hallway, Chase slammed his locker shut and stormed toward her. "You think this changes anything?" He hissed. "You made me look like a monster." Layla met his glare without flinching. "I didn't make you anything, Chase. You did that yourself." His jaw tightened. "You're done here. You'll regret this." He turned and stormed off, his friends following close behind. By lunch, the cafeteria felt split in two. Half the school whispering in Layla's favor, the other half clinging to Chase's version. The tension was electric, thick enough to choke on. Eli slid into the seat across from her, looking nervous. "You posted it, didn't you?" Layla nodded. "It had to be done." He sighed. "You're brave. But they're not going to take this quietly." She gave a faint smile. "Neither will I." That afternoon, the principal called her in again. His expression was tense. "Layla, the video you released has caused disruption. The school board is furious." She straightened her back. "Furious that I told the truth?" He hesitated, then said quietly, "Furious that it's public. Chase's father is threatening legal action." Layla felt her blood run cold. But then Denise walked in, calm, fierce, unshaken. "Then we'll see them in court," she said, "because we're not backing down." For the first time, Principal Reynolds didn't have an answer. The air inside the school board room was heavy, thick with tension and quiet. Judgment. A long mahogany table separated the Carters from the board members. Behind them sat a small crowd of parents, teachers, and a few curious students who'd managed to slip in. Cameras were forbidden, but that didn't stop whispers from crawling across the room like static. Layla sat beside her mother, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Across from them, Chase sat next to his father, Mr. Gregory Miller, a man with a jaw like stone and eyes that never blinked. He looked at Layla the way people look at a problem that refuses to go away. Principal Reynolds cleared his throat. "We're here to review the incident between Chase Miller and Layla Carter. as well as the subsequent release of video material online. Mr. Miller spoke first, his voice smooth but sharp. This entire ordeal has tarnished my son's reputation. That video was taken without consent and posted publicly to humiliate him. My son's mental health has suffered because of her actions. Layla's heart thudded painfully. Her mother leaned forward. With all due respect, your son grabbed my daughter first. He humiliated her in front of the entire school. The room stirred. Reynolds adjusted his glasses. We've reviewed both videos, the edited version and the original. It's clear the online post was manipulated. Layla felt hope flicker. Finally, the truth was out. But then one of the board members, a woman with a clipped tone, spoke up. Even so, Ms. Carter violated school policy by sharing footage without permission. Regardless of context, this has caused major disruption. Denise's jaw clenched. So you'd rather punish the victim than admit your star athlete was wrong? A murmur rippled through the crowd. Chase shifted uncomfortably. For the first time, he didn't look proud. He looked small. Layla noticed his shoulders tense, his gaze drop. The board continued to debate policy, image, politics. Every sentence felt less about truth and more about control. Finally, Reynolds spoke. Given the circumstances and the overwhelming public attention, we have decided, the room froze, to clear Layla Carter of wrongdoing. Chase Miller will be suspended for 2 weeks for initiating physical contact. Layla's chest filled with a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. Her mom squeezed her hand. But before she could process it, Mr. Miller stood abruptly. This isn't over. You people are ruining a boy's future over a misunderstanding. He shot a glare at Layla, venomous. You should be ashamed. Denise stood too. The only shame here is pretending your son's privilege makes him innocent. The room erupted. Gasps, murmurs, chaos. Reynolds banged his gavel. Enough! This hearing is adjourned. As they walked out, the hallway buzzed with whispers again. But this time, they weren't all cruel. Some were supportive. Some even smiled at Layla as she passed. But in the corner of her eye, she caught Chase watching her. His eyes were red, his face unreadable. For the first time, he looked like someone who'd finally seen the consequences of his own actions and didn't know how to live with them. The days after the hearing felt strangely quiet. The chaos had faded, but the silence that replaced it was heavy in its own way. Layla walked through the halls of Brookdale with her head high now. Yet part of her still expected whispers to follow. They didn't. Not as much anyway. People nodded at her. Some even apologized in hushed tones, too embarrassed to meet her eyes. The truth was out, and with it came a kind of uneasy respect. But the victory felt hollow, because every time she saw Chase sitting alone at the far end of the cafeteria, staring blankly at his untouched food, she felt something she didn't expect. Pity. He looked smaller now, his confidence cracked. His circle of friends reduced to none. The same people who had cheered for him had vanished. Fame turned into isolation faster than a rumor could spread. One afternoon, as she was leaving school, she saw him by the bleachers, alone, rain threatening in the gray sky. Something in her chest told her to walk away, but her feet didn't listen. Chase, she said quietly. He turned, startled. His face was pale, eyes red-rimmed. What do you want? His voice was sharp but weak underneath. Layla hesitated. Nothing, I just wanted to say I don't hate you. He laughed bitterly. You should. Everyone else does. Maybe, she said softly. But hate doesn't fix anything. You messed up. But so did I, by letting you get to me. He stared at her for a long moment, then looked down at his hands. You know, I thought I was untouchable. My dad always said the world bends for people like us. Guess he was wrong. Layla crossed her arms. Maybe it's time you stop listening to him. He smiled faintly, but it didn't reach his eyes. They're talking about transferring me. Said it'll be easier. She nodded slowly. Maybe that's a chance to start over. Chase swallowed hard. You think I deserve that? Layla looked at him. Really looked. Not the bully, not the golden boy. Just a kid who'd never learned what kindness looked like until it was too late. Everyone deserves a chance to be better, she said. A single tear slipped down his cheek. He wiped it quickly, embarrassed. Guess you're stronger than I thought. Layla gave a faint, tired smile. I had to be. The first drops of rain began to fall, soft and cold. They stood there for a moment. Two broken pieces of the same story, neither heroes nor villains, just human. As she turned to leave, Chase called out, Layla, I'm sorry. She didn't turn back, but she nodded. And that was enough. That night, she wrote in her journal, sometimes justice isn't about winning. It's about surviving without losing who you are. Spring came early that year. The air was softer, the hallways brighter. And for the first time since she arrived, Layla didn't dread walking through the doors of Brookdale High. People still whispered sometimes, but now the whispers were different. Not cruel, not mocking, just quiet respect. Some kids even smiled when they passed her, nodding in that unspoken way people do when they've finally seen your truth. Layla had joined the art club, where she painted every day after school. Her latest piece, 2 hands breaking free from chains, hung on the classroom wall. Beneath it, someone had written in small letters, "Strength isn't silence." She didn't know who wrote it, but it made her smile. Chase transferred 2 weeks later. Rumor said his father had pushed for it, trying to escape the glare of public shame. But before he left, he stopped by her locker. He handed her a folded note. "I didn't say everything I should have," he muttered, "but I meant what I said that day." She nodded, taking it. After he left, she opened it. "You taught me what my father never did. How to face what I've done. Thank you." She folded it carefully and tucked it into her sketchbook, not as forgiveness, but as closure. That evening, as the sun dipped low, she and her mom sat on the front porch. The light painted everything gold. Their hands, their laughter, their silence. "You proud of yourself?" Denise asked gently. Layla thought for a long moment. "I'm proud I didn't let them break me." Her mom smiled, eyes glistening. "You were born strong. You just had to see it for yourself." Layla leaned her head on her mother's shoulder. "I used to think being strong meant fighting back," she whispered. "Now I think it means knowing when to walk away." Denise squeezed her hand. "That's wisdom, baby. That's growth." A warm breeze swept through, carrying the sound of kids laughing down the block, the smell of cut grass, the promise of something new. For the first time, Layla didn't feel like the new girl. She felt like herself. And though the scars from those days would never vanish completely, she knew they told a story not of pain but of power. In her journal that night, she wrote one final line beneath all the chaos and heartbreak that had filled its pages. "Strength isn't about who wins. It's about who stays kind, even after the world tries to make you cruel." She closed the book, smiled to herself, and turned off the light. Outside, the rain had finally stopped, and for Layla Carter, the storm was over.